next question of day 22 of my question based learning series is, what is the main difference between EBS, EFS and S3, and when to use which? Now, quite important question. See, there are different storage services offered by AWS. Now, at times it happens that you get confused when to use which. Can we replace EBS with EFS or EBS with S3 or vice versa? Let me give you a simple analogy to help you understand. Now, let's say you have your personal laptop. A personal laptop has got, we use different types of storage devices with our personal laptop. For example, it has an internal storage, that is hard disk is there, internal hard disk is there, it has got RAM, it has got, we also connect the external hard drive, we store our data on OneDrive, Google Drive. So there are different types of storage services or storage devices are there that we use to for keeping our personal data. But can we replace one with the other? Definitely not. Now, if I want to deploy the operating system, I have to go for the internal hard disk, right? I deploy, install it on the internal hard disk. If I want to share my data with some other user, or let's say my colleague or a friend, I put it in OneDrive or Google Drive. Or let's say I want to offload my data from my laptop, so I also, for that also I use the Google Drive or OneDrive. Or suppose I want to port my data from one machine to another machine, what I do, I copy it on a pen drive or an external drive, and then I port it across the machine. So basically each has its own use case. On a similar line, on AWS cloud, the different storage services are offered. Each has its own use case. For example, EBS volume, elastic block store, is like it's like your hard disk, but it is a virtual hard disk. On EBS volume, we deploy the operating system. It holds the runtime environment. Okay, so EBS is used for operating system. We by default, whenever you deploy an EC2 instance, it comes with a root volume which is deployed on EBS volume. EFS, Elastic File System, that is another service which is used for sharing the data. It is basically a shared file system. So we share the data. If we want to share the data across the EC2 instance, we put it on EFS, because EBS volume we can attach to one instance at a time. Okay, IO operation with one. But what if I want, let's say 1 terabyte of data is there which I would want to access from multiple instances? Why do I create copy of that, right, and waste this space and get charged for that? Instead, I can put it on EFS file system, and from all the EC2 instance I can access it. I have to mount it and I can access the data stored on EFS. So basically the data which we want to share across instance, we put it on EFS. Okay, we use the EFS file system which is supported by Linux operating system. The third one is S3, simple storage service. S3 is basically an object based storage. So S3, the main use case of S3 is to keep the backup, to keep the snapshots, to keep the long term archive. Or we use it for data lake, we use it for machine learning. Machine learning need a huge amount of data if we want to develop our own model, right? So for such requirement we use S3. S3 is not meant for deployment of operating system because it's an object based storage. It is not meant for installing database or application or creating a file system. It is like your Google Drive or OneDrive. Okay, so S3 for keeping the data backup or big data environment and all. EFS for operating system, for any runtime data you want, operating system data or application data which you are using it, right, with application wants to access the data or the operating system data, so that we keep it on EBS, and EFS for shared file system. So these are the use cases of each of these storage services. I hope you found this information useful. So please subscribe to my channel for more such content, and my channel name is DUK-Do. And until then, stay tuned for my next question. Keep learning.